I'm George, and we'll be doing this double exposure wolf picture. And this is based upon a guided edit. Let me bring that up here. And that's this one right up here, double exposure. It's in the Fun Edits section. There it is. And we'll be using this wolf picture here and in this background forest picture. Now I wasn't happy with the results on this. Let me show you the results. And that is right there. That's what I got when I used that guided edit. And it's really not that great. So let me show you how you can do the same project but using the expert mode, and you get a much better result. Okay, we'll start off with just getting rid of this, get that out of the way. There we go. Be using this picture and this picture right here. And we'll start off with the wolf. Let's now bring the second picture in here. I'll just grab this and float that like that. Now if you don't have floating windows, just go up here to Edit, come down to Preferences and General right there, and make sure that this is checked right there. Allow floating documents in expert mode. Choose OK, and you can then float the document just by pulling the tab down. Once it's floating, all you need to do is grab the background layer and drag it over here, and that brings in the picture. Okay, let's get this basically positioned. I'll just put it kind of centered like that. We'll come back and tweak this in a bit, but for now I'll hide that layer, come down to the background layer, and let's select out the wolf out of this picture. I'll start off with grabbing the lasso tool up here, and I'll make a little lasso right around the wolf and kind of close to the fur, but not exactly on it. It doesn't need to be perfect. We'll be cleaning this up with refined edge as we go. Across the bottom and then up around this outer side here and around the top, of course. There we go. So there's our basic selection. Let's now go to refine edge. I have mine set at 1 pixel. And let's set this at overlay, and my size for the brush is 35, and let's set this at smart radius. I'll leave everything else alone for the moment. And then just come in here and just brush right along the edge, and then I'll allow Photoshop elements to come in and find a better edge for us. And just go around the whole wolf image doing this one step. It's pretty quick, as you can see, and we may need to come in and do a little bit of adjustment after this is done. We'll take care of that in just a moment. But just take your time on this. Don't try to rush through. Now around the ear, I found on this one, just come in kind of like that. Don't go too far in or you'll lose a little bit of it. And then get this back side. There we go. Just work your way down and across the bottom. And there we go. Just now check the edge, the quality of the edge. I'll change the view over here to black and white. You can see how there's a bit of gray showing out there. And down here, we can lose that very easily. Just come down here to contrast and pull contrast over a little bit, and you'll see that just kind of fades away. Don't go so far as you begin to lose too much detail. I want just enough to get rid of most of that edge. That's pretty good. There's a little bit of fuzziness right here, a little bit right here, and a little bit right down here. We'll fix that up in just a second. Okay, down here it says output. Let's just output this to a new layer with layer mask and choose OK. There we go. Now I want to see that edge better, so come down to the background layer, make a new layer down here. Just want a white layer. Easy way to do that, let's go up here to layer, come down to new fill layer, solid color, and choose OK. And that should come in as white. If it doesn't, just click out here someplace and drag upper left hand corner, choose OK, and there's a nice white background layer. Okay, you can see just a little bit of kind of fuzziness on the edge in here and right down there. We can clean that up. That's on the layer mask right here. Click on that side, look for that light blue outline. Now black hides, so all we need to do is to set our foreground color at black, grab the paintbrush, let's make it 36, maybe 50, around here somewhere. I'll just type it in. 50 soft edge brush, looks pretty good. And then just come in and just right up against that edge, wherever it needs to be, just a little bit clean. There you go. Don't go in too far or the edge gets too soft. Just a little bit on those few spots where it looks just a little bit odd. Just kind of clean it up like that. There we go. Again, not going clear into the image, just getting rid of a little bit of that stuff is kind of poking outside there. And that's good. That's all we need there. Back to the move tool. Now pull him over just a little bit so he's basically centered in here. So, right about here looks good. And I want to zoom in just a bit. I want to get the ears up towards the top of the page. So for that, let's grab the crop tool right here. You can set any ratio you want, 5:6, 4:6. That's the same ratio as our picture. I'll now just grab a corner and I'll pull the corner in until those ears get closer to the top, just about like that. It keeps that same ratio. Click on the green check mark for OK, and there we go. Maybe pull them over just a little bit more, and that looks good. Okay, so far so good. Now let's duplicate this layer. So where it says background copy, right click and duplicate, choose OK, and have a copy of this. Now on this duplicated layer, I want to use this to adjust the quality of this image just a little bit. So go up here to the blend mode and come down to screen. So it just kind of lightens things up in there. This is too much, so I'm going to back off on the opacity halfway to 50%. So there's before and there's after. It just gives us a bit lighter area and a bit more detail in there, kind of increases our contrast. Now to take this even further, let's add an adjustment layer above this layer. So layer, come down to new adjustment layer and levels, choose OK. Now to increase the contrast, just pull the black in from the left hand side and the white in from the right hand side. Now the settings that I used on these, I was in quite a ways on the black side. Let's type it in, 110. And on the gray, that's right here, I had this set at 1.24. There we go. And the white, which is right down here, I had this set at 238. And it's kind of a contrasty picture, which we want to help blend this in with our next picture up here. So here's the picture above, but we need to clip this to match these images down here. It's easy to do. Come down to one of these layer masks. I'll use the top one. Hold the Alt key down and drag straight up. That copies this layer mask up onto this layer. Notice it didn't copy the whole thing over here. It's kind of missing on that left-hand side. We need to fix that. That's on the layer mask right here. Easy to fix. We just need to paint black on that side. Our black paintbrush is still good. And I'll just paint right along that edge and just complete that layer mask. Okay, there we go. Now we need to position the picture properly in this mask. So let's unhook the mask from the picture. This little icon right there in the middle. Click that so it goes away. We'll unlink these two. We can now move over here, double click on the image side, and you can then pull this back and forth just like that. Now what you want to do is you want to pull it over here, and you'll see right about here it goes off the edge there. Don't want to go that far. So pull it back in so this curve of the road right there, and pull it just a little bit further over. Right about there looks good. Just kind of cutting halfway into the road right here, and get a bit of blue sky showing right up there. And that looks pretty good. Let's now blend this into our background picture. First off, go up here and click on that link to link those together again. And then change the blend mode here to lighten. That just kind of blends it in with everything underneath. Now it's too strong, as you can see. So we need to adjust the opacity. I'm going to set the opacity here at 75%. That's pretty good. Let's now make a copy of this layer where it says layer 1, right click, duplicate layer, choose OK. A copy of that. Change the blend mode on this layer to screen. There we go. And we're getting pretty close. Now on this one, put the opacity back up to 100%. There we are. Looking good. Now I want to do one more thing on this layer here. Make sure that you're on the image side. Look for that light blue outline. Now all the bushes and stuff are really too sharp, too bright in here, and too detailed. I want to kind of tone that down a little bit. And we'll do that by doing a little Gaussian blur. So filter, come down to blur, and Gaussian blur, and I have mine set here at 3.0. It just softens up the edges. To show you the preview, you can see how it kind of knocks off those white highlights in there. Just softens things down just a little bit. It's also too rich in color. I want to bring the color down a little bit on this one as well, and we can do that by adding an adjustment layer in here on this whole thing. So layer, come down to adjustment layer. We'll start off with levels, and where it says use previous layer, don't check that, choose OK. And in here we're going to bring the darks a bit darker by pulling the left side in. I actually have mine set at 40. There we go. We can adjust the midtones, darken those down just a little bit here. And I have mine set at 0.85 on the midtones. And I'll leave the highlights where they are and then choose OK. And that's getting better. We're getting pretty close. Okay, now I want to bring down the brightness of the colors just a bit. So go back to our top layer and then layer, new adjustment layer, hue saturation. And on this one where it says saturation, just pull this to the left just a little ways. I have mine set at -30. And it just darkens everything down just a bit. Just kind of knocks off the brightness on those edges just a little bit. Okay, now we need to bring back in the face. We've kind of lost the face in here. We need to bring the face back in again and a bit up around the upper side up here. And this is all done with layer masks and another layer. So come down here to the lower of these two wolf layers, right click and duplicate layer, choose OK. Take this layer and move it clear to the top of the whole stack, just like that. Now we need to block this whole layer out and have it just black on the layer mask. So let's change our color here to black. Grab the paintbrush, set a pretty good size. I'm going to set mine at 150 in here. That should do. Set the opacity and make sure it's at 100. Let's make sure we're on the layer mask side over here. Let's just catch this edge again just in case we know that has a problem right there. Fix that one and then come in and just go back and forth and paint out that wolf on that layer mask. Just go back and forth like that. That should paint that whole layer mask. It should be solid black. Now we can switch our colors to white in the foreground, and then let's set the brush size here, a bit smaller, maybe down to about 100. This should be about the size of the eye. There we go. And come right on the eye, and then just tap on the eyes, and that should bring the eyes back in. There we go. Just like that. Okay, nice and dark on the eyes. Now bring the opacity down about halfway, and bring the size up, put it back up at that 165. That was a pretty good size. And then tap over the eyes like this, and then just tap down to the nose. Tap a couple of times on the nose, and just tap a few times in here. So I'm not painting, I'm just tapping, and just bringing back in just a little bit of the full value in here of the picture, just over where the face is. There we are. Now last little bit in here, we've lost a bit of the quality of the top up here, and that is controlled by these two layers and their layer masks. So I'll come down to the bottom of these two layer masks, click on the layer mask side. I want to hide the white here, so let's change this to black again. I'll leave it at that 165. I'm just going to paint just along that edge, just kind of just outside the edge, like that. What I'm doing is I'm showing more of this layer, but I'm not showing more of that layer. So more of the bottom layer and not more of the top layer. Just a little bit to get a bit more of that coloration back up in there, maybe a little bit on the side over here. So there you go. That's how to do this double exposure technique, again based upon that guided edit, but using my own tricks over here, and the whole thing done inside of expert mode. Now don't forget, if you like this video, hit that like button and share and subscribe as well. And if you really want to learn how to use Photoshop Elements, take a look at my complete training course. There's a link for that right down there in the description. All right, and I'll see you next time.